Hello and welcome. My name is Annie Gaines, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to today's Info2Go webinar, sponsored by the Institute of Museum and Library Services and hosted by the Idaho Commission for Libraries. Some things before we get started. Everyone is muted as they entered this room, and we encourage you to use the chat feature to ask questions and to chat amongst yourselves. I'd also encourage you to update your chat settings to go from all panelists to all panelists and attendees. Today, we are trying some automatically generated captions. So please know that these captions may be slightly inaccurate, but we hope they'll make this experience a little bit more accessible. And so now it's my pleasure to turn things over to Jennifer Redford, our Youth Services Consultant here at the Idaho Commission for Libraries.
I was on mute. Okay. Thanks. Thanks for the introduction, Annie, and welcome to all of you. I've got a lot to go through today, so I'm going to go ahead and throw my PowerPoint up and we'll get started. For those of you who haven't used those closed captions in Zoom before, there should be an option for you to see the live transcript near the bottom of your screen, kind of near the raise hand function. So if you need to see those, go ahead and click that and they should show up for you. Alrighty, let's get started. Virtual facilitation, tips and tricks. So over the past year, many of us have moved from facilitating learning and relationship building to a virtual environment. These are things we used to do in person, but now, thanks to the pandemic, we've moved a lot of that to the virtual realm. It's probably not going away entirely for anybody, even as case rates, thankfully, start declining. So for many of you, this means that you've maybe moved your library programs to YouTube or Facebook, which means that you haven't had a whole lot of introduction with the folks that you are serving with those programs. Or maybe you've had just a lot of Zoom meetings, and maybe, just maybe, you could get some more engagement out of those meetings. So today we're going to talk about ways to do that. So normally, sometimes you can get some of that engagement in chat, or if you have like asynchronous communications through Facebook or YouTube, like through comments. But really having that relationship building and that discussion in a virtual environment can be tricky. So when we're done today, you will know a little bit more about how adults like to learn and engage virtually. And you will have at least one tip that you can use to take away with you so that you can make your next virtual facilitation a little bit better. Before we get started, I'm going to go ahead and introduce myself. I'm Jennifer Redford. I'm a Youth Services Consultant at the Idaho Commission for Libraries. I spent about 10 years in a very busy branch of a public library, and then moved over to the Commission about 3 years ago. So in my job, I do a lot of training. I'm trained to facilitate meetings, trained to train other people in how to do things, and I'm trained in how to facilitate conversations. And when the pandemic hit, I had to develop an entirely new skill set to make that virtual facilitation really happen. And it was rough, it took a few months, it took more than a few months to figure it out. And I'm still learning all the time. In fact, I hope that I will learn something from all of you today too, because I hope that you will contribute to our shared knowledge of this topic. So today I'm going to share a little bit of research about online learning and some tips on how to make virtual meetings and presentations more engaging. Before we begin, I want to acknowledge that this particular presentation actually will not use best practices when it comes to engagement. The larger your audience is, the more difficult it is to build relationships and really have those great discussions. I found that the ideal size for engaging learners is typically like 10 to 15 people in the Zoom. We have a lot more than that today, and this is being recorded, so those folks who are watching it later won't be able to be part of the conversation. So just know I am aware that I'm going to be telling you a bunch of stuff today, and then it's going to be like, but you're not actually doing that. in practice, I do all of these things, but not in this particular format. It's more informative because it's an Info2Go. And another caveat is that this presentation will focus on adult learners. So for those of you who work with children, these tips are not going to be great for your work with the young people or maybe even teens. But if you're engaging with caregivers, if you're engaging with your coworkers, your peers, colleagues from other libraries, or the general adult public of your community, you're going to find something interesting. But for the kiddos, it's a whole different ballgame. So I'm going to cover a lot of topics in the next hour, and I want to make sure that all of you have a chance to participate and contribute to the conversation. So that can be really hard to do when you've got a PowerPoint going and Zoom, and you've got the camera and the chat. So one of the ways I'm going to make sure that your comments and your questions are recorded and that we will return to them at some point so that we can address all of them is that I set up a Jamboard. For those of you who aren't familiar with Jamboard, it's like a whiteboard tool that is free that Google runs. So you have your page, and then you can add comments, questions. I'm going to stop sharing this PowerPoint really quick, and I'm going to share the Jamboard so that you can see it. And Annie is going to put a link to the Jamboard in the chat as well. So this is what you see when you see the Jamboard, if you're able to click on the chat. Right now it's blank, and there's a little note here that says, you can click on the sticky note option to add a question, a comment, or an idea. And there's a little arrow that's pointing you to the side of the screen where the sticky note option is. So when you click on the sticky note, a little sticky note pops up, and you can write in whatever your comment, your question, your idea is. So as we move through the information today, if there's something that comes up for you that you'd like addressed, or you just have a really great idea because you're brilliant and you're doing a great job and you have something cool to share, or even if you have something mediocre to share, totally fine. Just throw it up on the Jamboard and we will talk about it. All right. So a little bit more information. Ooh, we're looking into purchasing an interactive whiteboard Jamboard hardware. That would be pretty cool. Yeah, I definitely recommend playing around with Jamboard. Other options are Padlet, or if you're sharing your screen in Zoom, Zoom has a whiteboard feature that you can use to collaborate as well. So let's talk a little bit about how long it takes us to prepare for an interactive presentation, training, maybe even a meeting, but we're gonna, just for the sake of the research today, we're gonna talk about trainings. So Annie's gonna throw up a poll. And our first question is, how long do you typically prepare for an in-person program or presentation? So we'll give you a few seconds to vote. Annie, you can close the poll when it looks like almost everybody has, or most of the folks have replied. Okay, so for an in-person program or presentation, most folks are spending 5 to 10 hours preparing. Nobody is spending more than 15 hours preparing for an in-person program. For virtual, folks are preparing a lot less. So less than 5 hours, 5 to 10. Okay, this is very interesting information. All right, let's go ahead and close that out. I'm gonna drop some stats on you right now. Okay, for most 1 hour in-person trainings, it takes over 22 hours to prepare. Now that includes, that's like, if you're a blank slate, you know nothing about the topic. So you never facilitated a book club discussion before. So you need to read the book, you need to prepare the questions, you need to do a little background research, context, reserve the room, etc. So for most in-person 1 hour trainings, meetings, facilitation, facilitated activities, 22 hours to prepare for basic e-learning content. So that is where you are fed the information, maybe text, graphics, maybe some videos, some test questions. It takes around 49 hours to prepare 1 hour of e-learning. Interactive e-learning, where there is engagement, maybe like a discussion forum, interactive videos, multimedia, lots of videos, that can take up to 127 hours to prepare. These statistics are taken from like a professional development models in the business world. So maybe not one-to-one for libraries, but you can see that the prep time for doing e-learning is actually significantly more than for in-person learning. I thought that I would share this with you because you need to wrap your heads around this next statement. You need to find time to prepare for engagement. It will not happen on its own. So engagement, if it looks organic, it's not. It takes work. Part of the facilitator, that's you. You need to be prepared to do the work. Even a 1 hour chat or discussion needs an agenda, like a long one with a goal for what you're going to get out of the 1 hour discussion. This is important information to maybe share with someone who is supervising you, who may think, oh, you might not need as much time because you don't have to physically set up the chairs in the library room or whatever. There's just a lot more work that goes into being thoughtful about the time you spend on Zoom to make sure that it's engaging for everybody who is in the virtual space. I want you to reflect for a moment and think about how you like to learn. So earlier I mentioned that the focus of this particular Info2Go is on engaging adult learners or adult participants or community members. When you attend a virtual event like the one you're sitting at right now, what are some of the things that make it meaningful to you, and how do you like to learn? If you'd like to unmute yourself and share, go ahead. If you'd like to put something in the chat, go ahead and do that too. So Christy says interactive elements like polls, questions, and breakout rooms. I find it most useful to immediately apply what I've learned in some way, even if only in practice. Games are fun. I agree. Having the chat enabled usually makes the event feel more engaging. Discussion with other panelists, a casual atmosphere. Ooh, Sarah, good point. We're going to come back to that. Okay, well, let's take a look at what the research tells us about what adults like to learn. And I want to note that this is adapted from John Goodland's work on adult learning. He has a couple of really great books on adults learn. I think the latest one is in the 4th edition. And they have a lot of great research and information to share with you. I'm going to distill this giant book down to just a slide. So here you go. So adults like to learn things that are practical and problem-centered. So when you're engaging with adults, you want to use examples and talk about direct application, use problem-solving activities and case studies. So try not to be too theoretical. So for example, I'm giving you research here, but I'm trying to kind of cushion it within real-life examples that could happen in your library or wherever you work that is involving virtual facilitation. You need to promote positive self-esteem for adults. Technology can be really scary. We may assume that everybody's really comfortable with Zoom at this point, but the reality is that not everybody is, or they have severe Zoom fatigue, and you need to make sure that you give people time to acclimate to the technology, share tools in advance. It's a great practice to kind of set things up and say, hey, we're going to be on camera. Who doesn't have a camera? We will make sure that you have all the technology tools you need to fully participate. One of the things that our agency does is we have a program where people can request a microphone and a webcam so they can participate in our trainings, and they do it far enough in advance, we can send it to them. Provide low risk activities and establish routines so that learners become more confident. Readiness depends on self-esteem. So if somebody is coming into your Zoom and they immediately feel uncomfortable because of the technology, they are going to have a wall up and you aren't going to get a lot of engagement from them. So you need to make sure that because the goal is you want everybody in the Zoom to feel like they are welcome and that they belong there. And part of that is making sure that everybody feels good about it. So promote positive self-esteem. Integrate new ideas with existing knowledge. So all of you come from a wealth of lifetime of experience. Whether or not you've actually done facilitation or not, you have experience learning in a facilitated environment, being part of a Zoom. So you want to take what adults already know and build off of it. Use maybe a pre-assessment, for example. So we did that poll about how long do you usually take to prepare for your online facilitation. And so I'm sort of using that as a baseline to talk about what we're going to do for the rest of this. Share your agenda and assumptions in advance and ask for input. Make it a collaborative process, and adjust time for topics that fit the needs of your learners. So you can use a continuum to describe skills. So rather than you have this skill or you don't have it, we are all learning on like a range, and we all kind of fit within a range of skills and abilities and knowledge. And ask people what their current skill level is. Build on what they already know. So this means you will need to change your plan sometimes. So you as a facilitator need to be flexible. And just be ready to meet people where they're at, because that will be more engaging for them. Remember, it's about what they need, not the presentation that you need to get through. Show respect for the individual learner by scheduling lots of breaks. Start and end on time. Be respectful of people's time commitments. Invite learners to share their names, the pronouns they use. Validate their contributions, ask for feedback. I've already asked you to give feedback in the chat and the Jamboard, and I'd like to ask you to keep doing that. It will make our time together more meaningful if we're all sort of contributing our thoughts. And provide for the possibility that people might need to unlearn old habits or confront inaccurate beliefs. One of the trainings that I do that's a self-paced online training is called Countdown to Coding, and it's shows librarians how to integrate basic computer science into story time. So basically how to change up your typical story time routine to include some basic computer science knowledge and help kids build their brains to be computer scientists later. And inevitably, when people do this for the first time, they will tell me, I was really intimidated, but once I got through it, I realized that I already know a little bit about computer science and it's not scary anymore. And you have to you have to help people become comfortable with that assumption that they can't do computer science, or they can't do math, or they can't engage with STEM, and help them get over that hurdle, because that will help them build their confidence. And finally, the final principle of adult learning is allow for choice and self-direction. So build your plan around the needs and goals of the adults in the room, and ask what they would like to know about a topic. Provide ways to choose their own application of the topic, and facilitate. So facilitation involves collaboration and shared responsibility. So I'm going to once again invite you to, if there's something specific about facilitation that you wanted to get out of today, go ahead and throw it in the Jamboard. And I think Annie can probably put the link again in the chat. Okay, so those are the ways adults like to learn. Let's talk about how to actually do this. So we need to have tools to encourage people to facilitate. So when you're facilitating an in-person program, you can read the room and pick up on people's energy. But when you're in a virtual space, it can be harder to engage. Although I was facilitating a Zoom recently and I noticed that everybody was very low energy. And I'm kind of a high energy person, so I worked very hard to adjust my mood level to meet the people where they were at on that day. But it's really important to note that within 10 minutes of a Zoom or a virtual facilitation, most people have stopped listening. We've been going for about 20 minutes now, so I can guarantee some of you are on your phones, you're checking your email, you're not exactly staying engaged with me today. That's how it goes. So if I were facilitating at maybe a smaller group, I would use my tools that I'm about to share with you to get people back, get them off their phones, get them back in the discussion, and get them engaged with the content. So let's talk about ways to do that. Here are the tools. Chat. We've already used chat a few times, but chat is a great way to get people just engaged with the content, especially if you can read someone's responses out loud and affirm their participation. That's great. Reflection. So in this case, I asked you to reflect sort of earlier on the ways you prefer to learn, but if we were doing a facilitated activity, I would have you write or draw something and take a few minutes to put something down on paper about the reflection prompt, and then we'd have a share out with the group. Polling, which is another tool that we've used that can, anytime you ask people to respond to something and click on the thing, they're back in your Zoom. They at least have the window open. So that is a plus. Breakout rooms. People who have generally been off camera will turn them on and start participating when you throw them in a small breakout room. They feel the pressure. There's peer pressure to participate. There's other people waiting for your participation. So for most breakout groups, like 3 to 5 people is a good size, with a very simple prompt and clear instructions. Storytelling. So this is also kind of a good icebreaker, but have a virtual show and tell. So one that I've done recently is grab an object near you, hold it up to the camera, and tell us why that describes who you are. So I would hold up my bottle of water because I'm really into staying hydrated. I drink at least 100 ounces of water a day. It's super important to me, drink lots of water. So that would be my story. So storytelling. It's a great way to get people engaged and kind of sharing their experience, talking about themselves. A resource flood. I love this one. This is when you have people share all of their good nuggets of information or links to great resources and just throw it in the chat all at the same time. Say, you have 1 minute to give me your best strategies for engaging people in a virtual space. Go. And you just have them flood the chat with links and resources, and you can share those out later. But it's a good way for, because all of you, especially if you work in libraries, have your favorite resources for something. Some of you have already shared them in our Jamboard. So this is where you would just kind of get everybody like just rowing in the same direction for even a minute or two on resources. A shared brainstorm is using our Jamboard, Padlet, whiteboard, some sort of collaboration tool to work to communicate together in that space where you don't necessarily need to talk. You can just write it on your Post-it and post it. So that's another one, but any of those shared brainstorm tools are great. And then expert advice is one of my favorites. I use this all the time. So the way I would set it up, or I usually set it up, is all of you are experts in your communities and in your libraries. You all know something really important about what is going on in your world. So we're gonna, I want you to think of one challenge or pain point you're experiencing right now with communicating with someone, with marketing to someone, with whatever the topic is. And I'm gonna put you in a breakout room with one other person. I'm gonna have you share your pain point, your challenge, and get advice from the other expert in the room. And then I'm going to have you switch. So what this does is it encourages this relationship between these two people who are kind of sharing a problem, getting advice about it, and then the other person is sharing their problem and getting advice back. So it's just a really great way to, first of all, maybe solve a problem you have, but also chat with someone and maybe dialogue through something you might need help with. It's especially helpful when it's someone who isn't part of your organization and who might have an outside perspective for you. So expert advice. Okay, so that's how to get people engaged in the meat of the facilitation, the meeting, the webinar, whatever you're facilitating. But let's talk about how we can actually get people talking, because that's a whole nother set of tools. So hopefully by now people are engaged. Everybody wants to talk. You can have a speaking order. Visual aids really help with this, especially if you've ever tried to go through the participant list on Zoom to make sure everybody has a chance to say something. You know, that participant list kind of jumps around, who's on camera, who's not on camera. One thing you can do is have a slide with all the expected attendees' names and the speaking order, or you can just type it in the chat. Okay, active listening. So all of you are probably familiar with what active listening is. And when you're doing this in person, it's a lot of eye contact, a lot of body language that shows that I am with you, I understand what you're saying, I'm listening to you. In the virtual space, this involves paraphrasing. So I hear you say this, asking some open-ended follow-up questions that show that you were paying attention to what they were saying. And it also means that you need to be really prepared, because you can't be thinking about the next activity you need to do, the next slide you need to do, the next poll you need to launch, the breakout rooms. You have to be able to just be in the moment with someone and really pay attention to what they're saying. So that preparation piece becomes very, very important. Stacking. So when you have multiple hands raised to talk about a topic, you would say, okay, first we're going to do Annie and Sarah and then Josie. So you give people an order that you're going to go in and that they're going to speak in, so that they don't have to worry that you didn't see their hand, or when they have to speak, they can kind of let the pressure off themselves, listen to other people's comments, and then make their own comment when it's time. Wait time. This one is really hard. After you ask a question, you need to give people a lot of time to process it, especially virtually, because again, they are on their phones, they are checking email, people are a little checked out. So you give them a few minutes to let their brain catch up with the question that you asked. 5 to 10 seconds doesn't sound like it's a lot of time, but that silence can seem so long when you're on a Zoom or in a virtual space. So give people time to process and respond. It also takes a long time for some people to type their responses in the chat. Maybe you could establish a ground rule that typos are fine, but for most people, typos are going to be like, I gotta make sure I know how to spell that word that I always misspell. So just make sure that when you ask a question to leave enough wait time and be comfortable with the silence on the Zoom. So that was a lot of information about engaging people and getting discussion going. I shared some that I've learned about through trainings and that I've tried out, but is there anything that I didn't mention here that maybe somebody would like to bring up?
So I can read a couple comments from the chat. Kate has shared to never forget about the WIIFM, what's in it for me, which is a great thing to always think about when you're putting together trainings. And then also she said that it's a good idea to have someone like me in a producer role to help with issues and monitor chat, so that the presenter doesn't really have to worry about those things and have that clogging up their brain space. And I agree.
Yes, in fact, Annie and I had a quick meeting about this, about how, hey, I need you to look at the Jamboard in the chat, because even though I have 2 monitors here, there's just not enough brain space for me to flip between the technology.
From the Jamboard, there's a couple folks, someone is interested in how to draw people out when you can't see them and their body language. Also wanting to know how to facilitate online meetings and trainings for staff, sort of generally. and then recommendations for hardware that can make facilitating virtual programming an easier process for everybody?
Those are great questions. We'll take the easy one first. How to draw people out when you can't see them and their body language. So if it's important for people to be on camera, you need to set that expectation up early and then ask people to go on camera and introduce themselves within the first 5 minutes. I host a virtual facilitated discussion called LIT, Libraries in Idaho Talking Trends. And I do a monthly one around different topics. And tomorrow I'm doing one about marketing. We're going to talk about Canva tips and tricks. And after I introduce myself, I have everybody in the LIT go around and introduce themselves, and they'll say their name, their library, and how they use Canva. This is a pretty engaged group. We've been running this discussion group for probably 9 months now. And so this is the 3rd or 4th time they've met. And I'll probably have 20 to 25 people on it. And I'm going to give all 25 people time to talk, which is going to take away about 20 to 25 minutes of my time. But it is very important that they all are recognized and that they have that opportunity to share who they are and where they're from. And that is the time when they will all, I guarantee you, unmute and go on camera. We also, in that particular model, we throw people into breakout rooms pretty frequently. So breakout rooms are another time to draw people out, because if they're in that smaller environment, they will, even if you can't like see their body language, they're going to participate a little bit more. You can get a lot from people's body language on camera, but not everybody likes to be on camera. So, I mean, pay attention really to whether or not they're participating in the chat. If you're not getting a lot of people reacting to your polls, that's probably a signal that people aren't really engaged. So try your tools, breakout rooms, ask people to do a quick storytelling session, ask for a resource flood. So this is where you use those tools to get the engagement. For whoever would like to know about facilitating online meetings and trainings for staff, I hope this is the beginning of your learning journey, and that from this you will have a better idea of where to go next. There's definitely some great other trainings out there that go a little bit more in depth about how to train people. And then the work of, who was it? John Goodland. I definitely recommend his books too. And recommendations for hardware that can make facilitating virtual programming an easier process for the host and smoother for the guests. I mean, I have a webcam that's pretty decent and it has a good microphone included in it. And I feel like having that quality is really important. I also have a ring light that I'm using to make sure the lighting is great. I feel like if you've ever been on a Zoom where the sound kept cutting in and out or it wasn't high quality, that can be the make or break for it. And in terms of hybrid programs, I feel like this is our next frontier. This is what people are going to be learning the next year. Our agency is certainly going to start dipping our toes into hybrid programming soon. I feel like, again, just being very prepared is key, because people can tell when you haven't prepared your icebreaker or you haven't really thoughtfully laid out the agenda. So that preparation piece, when I said that it takes like hours and hours to prepare for a 1-hour Zoom, I wasn't kidding. You need to put the time in to make sure that all those little details are attended to. And if you're doing a hybrid thing, that's like twice as many details, because you have to take care of the comfort and the learning for the people in the physical space and then also in the virtual space. So you almost need like 2 trainings just happen to be happening simultaneously with a little bit of crossover between them. But you gave me an idea for another presentation after I've learned more about hybrid trainings over the next 6 months. So fingers crossed, it'll be a good deal. All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about putting all of these tools together and really what we want to get out of virtual facilitation, virtual trainings, online meetings, all of this. Really good facilitation builds community. So not only are people engaging with you, facilitator, but they're also engaging with each other. And at the end of the day, if you're facilitating maybe a book club in your community or a meeting for your staff, you want people to have left it feeling more connected to each other. One of the reasons why I spend 20 minutes on introductions in my lit chats is so that the people across my very giant geographically giant state can put a face to a name, and can get a little bit more face time with other people who are doing marketing in their libraries, even though they're not professional marketers, or people who are doing collection development. You want to help people build a sense of community. And I think one of the comments, can't remember, one of the comments earlier about a relaxed atmosphere, part of that feeds into this is your environment, your virtual environment. So let's talk about strategies for building community. The first is make your space welcoming. So be yourself. I am a person who kind of loves to present and do public speaking and get super excited about it. It's because I used to do story time, and I don't get to do story time for toddlers anymore, but hey, I can do Zooms for adults. So that's me. I'm here being my authentic self, wishing I could have a puppet in my hand, but I don't. But whoever you are, remember to bring that to your Zoom. Use people's stated pronouns, invite participants to speak and share their names. Annie does this a little bit when she puts in the chat, as all of you are waiting for the Info2Go to start, share where you're from, share who you are. And then she explicitly welcomes everybody who puts their name in the chat. She says, hello, or welcome from Canada, or however she greets you. The second is to set clear expectations, like really clear. State from the beginning that when you leave, you will have learned about how adults learn and have at least one tool in your tool belt on how to help them engage in a virtual environment. I said that in the beginning, and I will reiterate, my expectation is that is what you will leave with. But just knowing that can help put you at ease. So some things that might help you set expectations is using a flipped approach. So in a flipped classroom approach in more formal education, students do the readings, the information gathering ahead of time, and then there's a facilitated discussion. So they kind of organize that information in their own brains through talking about it and through discussing it in a group. Similarly, one way we could have done that today is if we were trying to build community and have this cohort of people who are learning about virtual facilitation, I could have sent you some of the research ahead of time, some handouts to read, and then we would come together and I would facilitate a discussion where you all talked about what you read and your thoughts about it. And I would have activities that we built that kind of helped you build on your own understanding. So that flipped approach where people get the information ahead of time and come and do the discussion is one way that you can set expectations that when we're in the environment, I'm not going to be the sage on this stage, I'm going to be the guide at your side. Another way is to establish group agreements. This is something my agency actually does for in-person meetings as well. We have a very specific facilitated meeting structure that helps us collaborate and come to consensus about decision making. But if you establish group agreements, these are just ground rules for how you're going to communicate with each other. This is particularly important in a virtual environment when people sometimes talk over each other. 3 people are unmuted at the same time. It can get a little chaotic. So if you can establish agreements, and some of those agreements can include, keep your camera on, keep your mic on mute, can help you build that engagement from the beginning. a couple of my favorites are step up and step back. So step up means if we haven't heard from you yet, or if you haven't been talking a lot, it's your responsibility to step up to the mic and let us know what you think. And step back is if you have been talking a lot and we've heard a lot from you, you need to step back and be a more active listener and take a break and let someone else talk. Another one I really like is that the lessons leave, but the stories stay. So you might, while you're learning together, use an example of working in a toxic work environment or something. So the gossip about the work environment stays, but the lesson you learned from it that everybody takes away goes with everyone. Annie.
There's a comment from the chat from Kate who says that having an invited guest can draw people to your events, especially and even in virtual events as well.
Oh, that is so true. Especially if you have a lot of Zooms with the same people, then shaking up the guest list is great. For like programming purposes, if you can like invite the author to your book club, which some authors do virtual events, that's great. We, Annie and I, our team here at the commission, we have a monthly Zoom meeting, and occasionally we have a guest from outside of our agency, and we love that stuff. It is so awesome to hear what other people are doing. So that's a great idea, Kate. I love it. And then also when you're setting clear expectations, set discussion parameters. So let people know when their participation is necessary and when it's optional. I recently did a 4-hour virtual training on school readiness. And we were very clear that 4 hours is a really long time to spend on a Zoom. So when we had our PowerPoint up, our expectation was that people would be muted and they can turn their cameras off. But when the PowerPoint was gone and we needed to discuss something, we set the expectation that we need you to turn your cameras on at that point and participate in the discussion. So that was one way that we were just very upfront about that. Okay, and build skills that celebrate accomplishments. So remember when we said that adult learners want practical strategies to solve real problems? You need to check in regularly to make sure that you're meeting people's needs and that they're actually gaining the skills they need. So that's why we checked in with the Jamboard like halfway through and kind of hashed out some of the questions there. We've been checking in with the chat to make sure we don't miss anything. It's also important to use a strengths-based approach to feedback. So this is part of acknowledging the experience that each person brings to the program. So for example, Annie just said that's a great idea to Sarah, who talked about her virtual monthly TED Talk discussion. So affirming Sarah's participation and then thanking her for contributing to the collective wisdom of the group by sharing her experience. So we're celebrating your accomplishment, Sarah. Good job. And thank you for helping all of us build skills. So we're really focusing on what everybody brings to the table rather than what we're missing or what somebody, like the way somebody said something, although you do need to be careful about your language. And we'll get to that. Okay. So does anybody else have any strategies about building community? Or anything that they've done in their virtual or that you've done in your virtual programs that maybe really sparked some engagement? Yeah, I think I should start integrating a Puppet. I think LSTA funds would cover that.
I am so excited about the idea of a Puppet webinar with like Puppet panelists.
Yes. So collaborating with local organizations and local businesses. That's a great way to like literally build your community is by reaching out to people in your community.
Also, asking folks what they've been reading has been really fun in meetings.
Yeah. Oh, the music. Yes. For the 4-hour workshop, I had 80s bop on, and that seemed to keep the energy level up. Okay, so speaking of energy level, I wanted to share some thoughts on motivation. So while all of these skills are really important, it's really important to also keep people motivated to stay engaged with your 1-hour Zoom, with your 4-hour Zoom, with your, hopefully you're not doing a 2-day Zoom, but it happens. Maybe stay engaged with your virtual conference. Those can be pretty long. So limit the cognitive load. So part of preparation and part of those hours and hours that you're going to put into making a very thoughtful, cohesive, detail-oriented, but totally organic experience is editing down what you want to say to just the most essential elements. A lot of what I'm sharing with you today was taken from my readings and from like a 4-week virtual facilitation course I did and other trainings I've done. And I'm sort of like choosing the most important ideas and giving them to you in a way that I hope is thoughtful and practical for you. But I definitely have left off a lot of the research and the theory. So it's editing it down. Connection and discussion yields the best learning. So while my PowerPoint here is pretty sweet, what you're getting the most from is really talking about this stuff in the chat, adding to the Jamboard, or thinking about it and maybe rehashing it with a colleague. So we want to limit your cognitive load here in the virtual space. Foster community connections. So this will keep people coming back and engaging more. When I do the lit chats, I've had feedback from people who have come once and say, I am coming to every single one of these because I work in a small rural library. I never get to see anybody else who does what I do. I never get to connect with people. I've been very isolated during the pandemic because there haven't been conference opportunities. And this is the first time I felt connected to other selectors or to other marketing people or just to other people in the library world. So if you're doing it well, people will feel that sense of belonging and community. And then giving effective feedback. So part of that is the strengths-based approach. So focusing on what people are doing well and what they bring to it. And then actionable strategies to help motivate people to do their jobs better. So speaking of actionable strategies, we've talked about ways to engage adult learners and to encourage discussion, to build community, and to motivate people. So what are some ways that you are already doing this and you're in the virtual world, in your Zoom life that we've all kind of adapted to? And I'm just going to check the chat really quick here. So what ways that you're already helping people engage, discuss, build community? How are you already motivating them? And I want to talk for a moment about Sophia's question about looking for technical skills to host virtual meetings. First, you need to choose what your virtual hosting platform is going to be. We're using Zoom today. Some people use WebEx. You could maybe try Facebook Live, YouTube Live. I don't know how great that would work in terms of the tools you have available to you, but then you need to learn the technology really well. And that means you'll need to practice it. It's great if you have a group of people within your organization that you can do like a fake meeting on or with. But I think that's how Annie and I really got good at Zoom. Was we just got a bunch of people together who were also doing Zooms, and we just spent some time putting each other in breakout rooms. And recently, like Zoom had this update where you can name your breakout rooms. So we literally carved out a half an hour to just practice doing breakout rooms, which we had already done, but now we could name them and people could choose their own breakout rooms. So you've got to just familiarize yourself with the technology, play around with it, and feel comfortable enough with it that when somebody throws you into the Zoom environment, you know how all the technology works, you know how to run the chat, you know how to do all of that. Let's see. Oh, there's a little conversation about contests and prizes to amp up the excitement. Man, I know, right? People who will just not be very participative will do anything if there is a prize involved. I used to work at a retail chain, and I mean, I was there because I was getting a paycheck and I was happy to be there, but I wasn't super motivated to upsell people until I could win a pair of fancy unicorn socks. And then let me tell you, everybody got upsold that day. And I totally have some fancy sparkly unicorn socks that are some of my favorite to wear. So yes, free giveaway will do wonders. Does anybody else have any strategies, or are, we have, looks like about 9 minutes left. Does anybody have any particular questions that we can address right now? I feel like we've gone back to maybe the technology issue a couple of times. I've become most comfortable with Zoom, but I've used WebEx before and it's pretty good too. Also Teams, if you're in the Teams environment, it's a whole nother thing. How do you utilize music in your presentations? I usually use music as people are coming in, and then during the break times, if I'm doing a longer presentation that has a lot of breaks, that'll usually clue people in when the break is ending because the music ends as well. You have to be a little careful about the sound level of your music. So definitely practice that one. You have to get somebody to practice all of these little things. And so you see how the time adds up so that your preparation time is really starting to become this mountain of preparation you have to do for 1 hour. You have to know the technology. You have to know how the music works. Have to know how to share your screen. Have to know how to make sure your PowerPoint doesn't look weird on your screen. It's just a lot. Learn from colleagues and online tutorials are great. I YouTube a lot of things personally. Could you talk about marketing? Is that maybe marketing your Zoom so that people want to come to it? Because that is actually a really important skill. I would say that when you are preparing and you're trying to distill everything and edit it down so you have that one takeaway, you make that front and center of your marketing. You will learn about how adults learn and have one tool to take back with you to make your facilitation better. If you heard that and you're like, okay, after 1 hour, I'm going to have at least one thing that will make my job better, I'm in. Maybe 3 things. Yeah, Zoom has a share audio function for sharing music that's pretty great. Again, play around with it so that it's not too loud for people. I've had that happen. Oh, Wheel of Names for prizes. I'm just going back up through the chat now. I love Wheel of Names. Does anybody else have any like cool things that have worked for them that they'd like to share today? I know one of you had mentioned games earlier. About a year ago, our group did our group here within the ICfL did an internal meeting, and I had them play PowerPoint karaoke. which was hilarious. I set up 10 PowerPoint slides that were timed to rotate. So the next slide automatically clicked on every 20 seconds. And the people who were the contestants had never seen the slides before. So they had to give a presentation off of this like 10 slide deck. And it, that's like 3 minutes of presenting time. So it wasn't like it took forever, but it was hilarious to see what they came up with. Oh, captioning silly photos has, oh yeah, that's been a really good one, especially if you have silly pet photos. Yeah, silly pet photos, because let me tell you, those pets are hilarious. Okay, well, I'm sensing that I've had your attention for 56 minutes. Thank you so much. But that has been a lot to process. So I hope that you were able to get at least one new tool out of this training and have a better idea about how adults learn. If you have any questions or any follow-up ideas, my email is there, jennifer.redford@libraries.idaho.gov. We had a couple of links shared in the Jamboard and the chat. Annie typically sends a follow-up email, and I'm sure she will include those links in her email. So if you missed them, fear not, we've got you covered. One other thing that's really great for virtual facilitation is if somebody can actually take something away from your facilitation, which is kind of counterintuitive because you're in a virtual environment, but if you have a handout you can leave them with, or in this case, we'll have a short resource list that you can use, that's always helpful. So thank you for your time today. I really enjoyed all of you sharing your experiences. I enjoyed listening to myself talk for a long time because that's just me. And now I am definitely going to try to think about how to do a puppet Zoom. I need to find the right puppet. Yes. Annie, do you have anything to add?
I just want to say thank you so much, Jennifer, for your time and expertise in talking with us today. Before we adjourn, I just wanted to share that as we end this webinar, you're going to be prompted to complete a survey, and we're always interested in hearing your honest feedback about our webinars. And then, as Jennifer mentioned, a link, an email will be sent out to you with a link to this recording and all of the links that we sent out in the chat as well, plus any other information that you might need. So thank you so much for spending your afternoon with us, and thank you for attending this webinar. Thank you, Jennifer, for presenting during this webinar. And I'm going to stop the recording now.